Episode 41. Let's go. I mean, we have so much to talk about this time. But anyway, Mom, how was your week?
Busy. It was busy.
A lot of traveling
A lot of traveling.
I feel like everyone was traveling this week. Kenny came home with the Missy. Mom was down in... No, you were up in...
Upstate. Mm-hmm.
Upstate. I stayed here because I do nothing.
Yeah.
And then...
Shocking.
And then... well, I have to go to North Carolina next week, so we'll figure that one out. But we got a lot of news this week, Mother. Honestly, I kind of want to just jump right into the leaks. Yeah, I am too. Definitely not before I go, but wow. I'm just going to see Aunt and Uncle.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so FBI arrests 21-year-old National Guardsman. I mean, we got to start with this one. It's arguably the most important news to come out this week.
Okay. I had a story about it.
Yeah, I know you had one. So basically, for those of you that don't know, we just had a huge national security breach in our own... we had another leaker in the Pentagon, is probably the best way of putting it. And they're blaming it on this 21-year-old National Guardsman who somehow had all this access to the Pentagon. I still have yet to figure out like what the actual story is with this one. Like, how did he... One, how's he in there? Two, is like, where's he coming from? You know what I mean? They haven't really released much information on this kid. 21 years old, somehow has access to some classified documents. And I mean highly classified. So the question is that I think the biggest question that you've probably been seeing on Twitter or Instagram, whatever you get your news from, is this kid a hero or is he someone that needs to be prosecuted for this? Because the information is information that the people should know, but now it's stuff that our enemy countries know as well. So your thoughts on that one? I don't know how I didn't read your article, but was yours kind of just...
I saw the headlines because, again, it was a busy week. I wasn't looking too much at the news. I did pull up an article written by somebody who has high-level or had, at one point, high-level security clearances.
Yeah.
And he had some thoughts about it because the two articles that I looked at, they're calling kind of BS on this in terms of, was it really just this kid? They think it's got to be more than just
it's
this
interesting.
one kid.
How does a 21-year-old kid, given...
It's a man. I mean,
21-year-old.
Because I'm old.
Yeah, I say kid too. He's 6 years younger. It's kind of weird how one 21-year-old who, technically still a college student, right? You're 21 in college. Like, that level of person, right, age-wise, is getting the highest level of credential clearance to be looking at this stuff. So it's stuff that's so important that even the people of America don't know it. So it's not like you're giving this kid like basic data, you know?
Well, he was involved in IT.
Okay.
But this person was trying to explain that even if you were an IT specialist or somebody who came in, the way they set up these servers, you can't have access to... You could have access to the story, but you can't have access to the level of detail that he was getting, especially with at his level. So this writer worked in the CIA. He provided training support to a variety of military commanders by writing executing military exercises. And for 18 years, he was working with classified docs. He never saw an E3, which is the level that this person is, an E3, Airman First Class, in the SCIF. The SCIF is that secure
we've talked
center
about
for information.
SCIFs are just sort of secured, like areas on the premises that are so high level security you can't get in unless you're someone that's that knows the code into the room.
You have to have a certain level of security. You can't take a cell phone in. It doesn't even matter if you're the president. You can't go in there.
It's like in those movies where you see guys do like eye scanners and stuff. That's kind of like a SCIF, but like a futuristic SCIF. It's just a high level area that most people can't get into.
So his feeling was you'd have to be at least an E5. An E5 is considered a staff sergeant to be able to go in there and get that. So this guy has never even seen the CIA Operations Center Intel report on military servers. So even though he's been on servers, he's never been able to access information all those years. An E3 would always have a senior officer with him. Yeah. So it makes no sense. Unless somebody else was involved, right?
Right.
Also, why was all the info about Ukraine? If he had access to everything, why wouldn't he have put more than just Ukraine down? Seems a little too specific.
Right? It does. Right.
or that the information was targeted.
So the big news that Red Tucker Carlson was trending on Twitter yesterday because he was like the first one to bring to light what some of these documents were. I don't actually know how many of the documents were released or what was released, but the one that everyone seems to talk about that this kid released is that it turns out that we've had American soldiers fighting in Ukraine right now. Now, it seems like that they're not, how do I put this? They're the kind of soldiers.
Forces in Ukraine.
But these are the kind of forces that they go on missions that you don't hear about. It's like that kind of level of guys. It sounds like high level Marines.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not just regular soldiers.
We did know that they've had, usually what they do is they'll send, they call them like operatives or consultants.
Right.
Which is another fancy word for combatants when they get there. So they're not necessarily soldiers, but they're trained individuals. They're supposed to go in and sort of help. Mm-hmm. Or they go in and assess the situation. But it's
one of those things that we all probably knew that was going on over there. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the country kind of hid it from us is... So that's kind of the line that we're towing on here. Mm-hmm. And what this whole thing's about.
It's not that they hid it from us. What this exposed was that they've been telling the complete opposite of what's been going on. They've been leading us to believe that Putin is winning or is losing over there. And
turns out that the Ukrainians are getting stomped over there.
Exactly, which many people, conspiracy theory people, have been saying for quite a while now. We keep pumping money in. Where is the money going?
Right. But I think the bigger issue to me is, and not issue, but like, I can't say that, I understand why you keep this a secret, right? In the sense of not even money and whatever, but take that out of it. Take that out of the equation. There's information in there that you don't want other countries to know, right? The only way you're going to keep that from China knowing if there's boots on the ground over there is by keeping it top secret, even from the American people. In that regard, I do agree there is certain information that has to be hidden, but I'm sure some of those documents that were released are things that should have been public. Like, I don't know who makes the decision.
Here's a question, and this was part of the same article. And this is another reason why this person's calling BS on this. The Washington Post, which is a specific type of newspaper, they saw 300 documents off of this server, if you will, information. Only 18 were posted, okay? 100 were also, other ones were also posted, they claim, okay? Why can the Washington Post view it, but we can't? And the New York Times. How come they're looking at this top? Who cares? Yeah. They're supposed to be getting the same information to give to us. How come they're selecting what we can see?
Well, yeah.
They have access. Why don't we?
Right. So make it public knowledge, not just... Like, to me, that would be 300 pages should be public knowledge if the Washington Post gets to see it.
Point is, though, why is it leaked to them? Right. Specifically, the Washington Post and New York Times broke the story of who this person is. They found it before the FBI did. How is it that a newspaper is finding a hacker like this, or however you want to call them, before the FBI even can?
Well, that's kind of... I want to get into the next kind of topic of discussion. So we say hacked, but in reality, it's not really a hack.
It wasn't a hacking.
Right. Yeah. So this kid, and you're going to see Discord in the news a lot now. Great. So this kid was... I keep saying kid, but you know who I'm talking about. I'm going to refer to him as the kid. His name... Teixeira, I think it's pronounced. He's just taking stuff off servers in the Pentagon and just throwing them onto a Discord server that his friends and whoever's on. I don't know if it was an open server, but...
Not just anything. Selective about Ukraine. The stories were about Ukraine, which is the reason why it's a little suspicious.
Right.
If you have access to everything and you're a young person, you're throwing on Discord.
That's the question.
Why don't you throw all the secrets out there that you found?
This is here, just based on what we did in Maryland. There's multiple skiffs. There's not just one skiff. So I wonder if in that one skiff was just the Ukraine stuff. See what I'm saying? Like if you separate
a skiff is a room.
Yeah, but there's multiple rooms.
Yes.
There's multiple skiffs.
It doesn't matter. What you're accessing is just a secure location. There's no data specific to a room.
Oh, really? I would think that...
You could put anything... No, it's...
See, I would think that... Then why would you have multiple skiffs?
Because you could have multiple people going in at the same time to look at documentation or information. A skiff could be...
See, I would have...
Because a skiff could have a piece of paper or a folder in it, no computer.
Right.
It just doesn't have to be...
But let's talk before computers with skiffs. Yeah. I mean, you can only store a certain amount of information in one... Like, I would have thought that you would have information on different things in each skiff. so
No,
that you
that's
don't
not
have.
how it works.
So then, if one guy breaks into the skiff,
No,
you
that's
lose.
not how it works.
Oh, okay. I'll
There's
take
a
your
skiff.
word for
There's
it.
a skiff at the bottom of Congress. So for the congressmen, if they want to look at something, they bring it over and they go into the skiff, and they have to leave their cell phones outside. And they go in and they view whatever it is. It could be a thing. It could be a document. It could be a folder. It could be a computer.
That would tell
database.
me. But here's my problem with that. If that skiff is so great and there's nothing in there except for a computer, it's got to be localized storage, because otherwise it's just going to be somewhere else on an internet space, right?
Well, I'm guessing that skiffs have some sort of.
So then why can't you just go to any
computer.
skiff?
You could.
I don't think
I don't
that's
know why
true.
You had to
That
be
doesn't make
specifically
sense.
This one. Well, you have to go to a skiff related to where the information is. So his was in the Pentagon.
Right.
So
Which, to your point, the Pentagon probably has information on everything.
Right.
Right.
Or they're Department of Defense.
Yeah.
So they have information on things related to defense. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a skiff in the White House, but like I said, Congress has
I
a
have
skiff.
to believe so.
And you can only go look at top secret information, and that could literally be a folder. It used to be top secret was a manila folder, and it was labeled top secret, right?
Yeah, the good old days.
Right. That's the kind of stuff that Hillary Clinton had. Top secret information that way. Some things were on a phone. So some people have the information on a phone. You go in and you look at that phone in the skiff. A skiff is just it's a specific area where you could view top secret information.
See, I would just think that you would have certain information in certain skiffs, because each skiff can't be the same. You have to have different levels of skiffs.
Well, I don't think we're interpreting what a skiff is. A skiff is just a place that's controlled for information, so nobody can go in or out without being. It's just like it's a room to have classified information in. That's what a skiff is. I mean, literally, I don't know what this SCIF stands for. Something like. There probably are computers in there. I don't know if it's laptops or whatever, but there's special computers. Not everybody can access whatever information's on there. What you're saying, maybe, I don't think that's true, because people in Congress can view stuff from the Pentagon in the skiff at the bottom of Congress. They don't have to go. I don't think they have to go to the Pentagon to that skiff to view
but
it.
There's like, you're not going to put everything on one folder. See what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
So that's why I wonder, why have multiple skiffs? Unless you have like duplicates of copied information just in case something happens in another skiff.
Well, no, because you could be viewing. I might need to view top secret information about Ukraine. Another person may need to go view top secret information about whatever.
Right, but that's why I would think
on,
that
vaccine,
it's like,
right?
oh, you want to go learn about Ukraine? We have a skiff A, which is here. Oh, you want something on China? That's all in the skiff over there.
No, I don't think it works that way. But it depends on the topic, and I'll look into it. But I think it depends on the topic. So, for instance, say you're a congressperson and you're a congresswoman, and you want to review, I don't know, pull something out of your hat, the court files from the J6 prosecution or the committee, right? And it happens to have certain top secret information.
Right.
They don't have that in Congress, but somehow that information has to get from the FBI or Department of Justice to a skiff in the House of Representatives. And then they let that person know, he or she goes down there and she can view it in the skiff, which means she has to leave everything outside. There's somebody's protecting the information. She goes in and sees it in that particular skiff.
So then my next question to your...
But somebody could be in the skiff next door looking up something else.
Right. I just wonder, right, you're not allowed in with a cell, and they pat you down and stuff, I have to assume, of your cell phone. I wonder how this kid's getting information out of the skiff onto a Discord server, like actual files and stuff.
Well, that's
so
the
that means that he got in with
asking.
So that means that he's gotten in with a flash drive, maybe.
Somehow he was able to put out there. I mean, he had some IT expertise, but as next article I have too from Kash Petal saying, no way one person at that level could have done it.
I do agree with that. Like, there's something there. How do I put this?
Because there's a terminology too. It wasn't just top secret. It's top secret compartmented.
Top secret compartment. So he had to know where to.
I don't understand what that means, but from my understanding is, you and I have a top secret security clearance. We can go in and we can look at it, but we can only look at certain levels of that information. Okay, somebody even higher than us can go in and look at parts of it that we can't see.
Right.
Because some things are really, really, really top secret. And they call that compartmented. That's even worse if compartmented information gets out. If I'm reading that right, I think that's what that term means. They pull out even
there's like a
general
rule of thumb, and then there's like a deeper meaning.
Right. I mean, there's all different levels of security, but apparently there's a high level of security where you go in and see stuff, but there's even if information is top secret compartmented, even that's limited more to who actually can go in and see it.
The reason why I agree that there's more to this is he just made it seem so easy. You know, how do you get information from the Pentagon at a certain level of security clearance, which, again, if anyone else was to go in there, I mean, you're getting shut down in a second. You're not. But this kid's going in, taking it out to a flash drive or something, and then putting it on a Discord server, which, I mean, fundamentally, it's just too easy to do that.
It's bad from both, no matter how you look at it. Because it's an embarrassment that somebody, if he did it, it's an embarrassment that somebody was able to do that at that level.
I love that. Yes,
that
absolutely.
Young, very inexperienced, etc., was able to go in and do that. Or it was done for a reason and somebody had access and allowed that person to put that information out there. Use that person, which is bad.
We'll probably never know. But the question that everyone's been fighting over is this kid a hero or is he a menace to society? So to me, I'm kind of on the fence about it because, as I said, it's information that the government is hiding from us, but there's a reason that they're hiding it. If it was the leaks to the JFK assassination, then yeah, I'd say, okay, this is ridiculous if he's going to prison for life for this because we already have ideas. It's been a long time. But if it was information that was super important that our enemy countries should not be knowing, then yeah, this kid should go to jail. He just compromised the entire country. So that's why I can't really put him in the hero category because you think you did a good thing for the country, but in reality, you might have just doomed us for a World War III.
Well, what usually happens is somebody at that lower level, if they didn't do it on their own and somebody had them do it, the right thing to do is to squeeze them and tell them, you know, you're going away for life unless you tell us who authorized this.
Or interrogation, which...
Pull out the waterboard.
When you get top secret information, send them to, what is Alcatraz or whatever?
That's the point. They don't squeeze anybody. They don't, or as far as we know. I don't want a 21-year-old Air National Guard. He obviously is not going around, or that
my friend at the gym had a great line about torture. Just he said, he's very liberal just anti-Trump and stuff. But he says, I think human torture is horrible in the United States, but if you do it somewhere else, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I think our U.S. actually allegedly takes them to an area off of the United States, so some island somewhere, and that's where they do their interrogations. That's alleged. Just saying.
Well, I always ask the question, if your child was buried somewhere with a limited supply of oxygen and only one person knew where your child was, and they refused to tell you, it's very easy to say, well, we're a good country, we would never waterboard that person. What if it was your child in that tank, about to die with no oxygen, and anywhere in the world, and this is the only person that knew where it was, I would waterboard the shit out of that person to find that kid,
absolutely.
whatever. So it's people are always quick to say, you know, we're all
well, I always think that war crimes,
until it's you, right? Until it's
war
your family.
Crimes are always weird to me because it's weird that we have rules to war, and what I mean by that is, let's say a ruler takes down an entire country of citizens, right? It's like every country starts weighing in and goes, well, technically they didn't do it out of, like, there's a whole list of rules of, like, did they cross these? And if they didn't cross all of them, it's like, well, that's too bad. It's only 300 citizens.
Yeah, the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
They all sat down and made these rules.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right?
Beat them, but not to death.
The other one is you're not allowed, I think it was World War One. You're not allowed to use shotguns in war anymore. Because it's certain shotguns. I don't remember what the exact thing is, but because the shotguns would do so much damage, they wouldn't be able to identify soldiers. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. You say, hey, we're going to war. We want to take your land or whatever, but there's rules, right?
Right, and it's only as good as the enforcement, too, as we know in general. So, you know, we had the red line with President Obama, red line in the sand for Syria if they use chemical weapons. Well, they use chemical weapons. And our president at the time backtracked. Well, we don't have proof of it, and until we know for certain. Okay. Yeah. Then nothing happened. So what stops him from doing it again? And that's a Geneva Convention thing. You can't use chemical weapons on your own, the troops you're opposing, the opposing troops, let alone using them on your own people during the Civil War. So It's only as good as it's enforced.
Yeah.
Kash Patel weighed in. He used to be the chief of staff of the Pentagon, deputy director of national intelligence under President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have a future. He's a bright guy. He was prosecutor also. He's not buying any of this. A 21-year-old Air National Guard did not act alone, in his opinion. He would not have had access unless a higher person gave it to him from the DOD, Department of Defense, or from the intel community.
Right.
Somebody would have had to give him that access. Very few people have actual clearance to view this information. Okay? The way he put it out there with the pages, the printed photos, the published, and having it published online is how it would be released if you intended to do it illegally, not if you're just doing it for fun or whatever. Leaked to the New York Times, Washington Post. He said, how did they find the leaker before the FBI? Come on, that's his feeling. The info shows American people being lied to, and the effort is failing in Ukraine.
Again, it's tough to say lied to. I mean, you are getting lied to in the sense of. Let me give you my guess of what actually happened, and of course, go ahead.
His question is, if this is all true, why wasn't Congress ever briefed on this?
Right. Well, that's the question of the. Well, remember, there's certain things that the president isn't even classified to see. Did you know that? There's certain things you would think that the president has all the clearances, but he doesn't. Like Area 51, the president doesn't have all the clearances in Area 51, which is wild to me.
Well, this is coming up now with the National Archives situation with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
A president has the right to declassify anything within a certain time frame. I believe, like, you can't do it all the time.
But I don't. I think that's true. Like that's actually the rule. But there are things in the in Area 51 that even like only 5 people in the world can see or something.
Well,
like that.
I think they can view it, but after a certain time frame. It's like the JFK files. They
That's
could not be
documents,
released for a certain number of years. Well,
that's
I don't know what information.
Right, with documents. But Area 51, there's like some stuff there from space that they're like.
I've never heard that.
I saw it on Rogan. They talked about that.
Maybe, it's nobody really likes to talk about that because it's so far out there. But I do know certain information they keep. They'll say you can release it, but you can't release it for 50 years.
Right, it's a weird.
Put a date out there. Because they feel it's too inflammatory at a given time to do it. You know, you don't. With all that went on after JFK was shot, that too much information for the American people. They have to move on as a nation, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Same thing with those Pentagon papers.
Well, I'm sure there's stuff that's top secret that would absolutely change America if it went out to the public. And that's kind of what I mean with this. This is not that high level, but back to what I was going to say. It's like, I understand why you didn't tell us about what's going on in Ukraine in the sense of you didn't want the world to know that America has boots on the ground. The only way you're going to make sure that the world doesn't know that we have boots on the ground is by not telling the American people that boots are on the ground. See what I'm saying?
No, the problem is with it. You're misinterpreting it.
Right.
They were telling the American people there are no boots on the ground.
Right,
over
but
there.
you kind of.
They were telling the American people that Ukraine is winning. They're going to take this if we put more money in. And meanwhile, intelligent communities were saying no. That's a flat out lie to the American people. We are the government, not them. They don't pick and choose.
Can I play devil's advocate real fast?
False information to give us.
But what if it's? We've had boots on the ground this whole time. The only reason that Ukraine is still around right now is because we've given them money to give stuff to the U.S. troops that we sent over. So the Marines and the Green Berets that I'm sure are just slaughtering Russians.
But there's no reason to tell us anything then. You're missing the point. We're living in an age of politicization.
That's tough, though, because...
And they're manipulating information.
That's tough, though, because you don't have control of what Putin and China's going to say. So
no, but you have control. If it's true that we are not winning in Ukraine, you don't say anything. You don't say anything if you don't want the American people to know. They're purposely going out and saying the opposite of what this intelligence is saying. That's a lie to the American people, costing us our children's lives, our tax dollars.
Right.
You got people giving money thinking we're going to win over there. They're ginning people up to send money, and Congress people are giving it because they hear from their constituents, we got to win this. We got to beat Putin. He's the bad guy, whether he is or isn't. If we had no intention of doing that, then you don't say anything. You don't go out and say, he's winning. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. That's using false information to get people to continue to support
the other
war.
question I have when it comes to war is what's considered winning? Like how there's no point score, right? So define winning.
casualties.
It is in casualties.
They lied about casualties.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
They're
a tough
making
one.
it sound like there's only a small group of Ukrainians have been dying. The number of Ukrainians dying to Russians is the complete
like
opposite
nothing.
of what they've been telling us.
Because it's based on percentages, right?
So you don't say, to your point, then you don't say anything. You say it's top secret information. We can't share that. No, they went the other route. We're winning over there. It's a flat out lie. And I personally knew that. But for all the people out there who have been giving money in coffee cans and whatnot and through the government and telling their leaders, yeah, give more. We're winning. We're beating. Well, I hope they woke up that morning and said, wow, I've been lied to. I've been putting my tax dollars or telling them to spend, and we're not winning over there. You can't do that. To me is morally wrong to do that to your people.
Yeah.
That's
so
what totalitarian
I wonder if
leadership
that
does.
means that our U.S. U.S. soldiers just got there and now they're doing some work. Like, I don't know what, so what's the next step of this? Do you send more troops over? Or is this like, hey, we just put in, like, did this document show, hey, within the last month, we put 7 Green Berets in, and each one of them has 1,000 kills?
Well, this is for those following the news in general. This is another example of our government lying to us. And we're getting sick of it. Don't tell us anything.
To your point,
Stop
it is
lying
a
to the
lie
American people.
to us. At the same time, yeah, I mean, you're right. They shouldn't have lied to us.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have said anything. But I do think that there's still information that we should not have known because it would have gone out to other countries.
There's always information. That's top secret information, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust your leaders to know what's top secret and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has made a comment. I can't agree or disagree to this, but I'm starting to agree. Everything is top secret nowadays. They make everything top secret to the point where nothing's top secret. And now we got people leaking stuff that is top secret, you know? So you reach the point, and we've treated top secret information as a joke. And now I'm worried about stuff in Mar-a-Lago that, that all of a sudden that's important. But all this other stuff that keeps going out that's top secret, nobody seems to give a damn
You're going
about.
to see so much more Lago stuff now with the leaked documents just to get it off Biden.
And I don't even care. I don't even think I care. If we're not going to do anything about it, what's the big deal? What I do have a problem with, and I will say this, if you find documents in Mar-a-Lago and that president was telling us something and it turned out not to be true, and that's why he was hiding those documents, you're right. I'd be angry as a citizen. Same thing here, especially when people's lives are on the line. We're in World War III. We don't believe this. People don't see it yet because we're not in hand-to-hand combat.
Well, this is kind of the kicker that there is a war going on. What is this war going to escalate to?
Yes.
Is it going to be more of our? Because now we know there's American soldiers over there,
and
Marines,
many
and
of us have been saying we don't want this escalated. We have no skin in the game in Ukraine. No. The only people that have skin in the game are our politicians who get money from that country. Right. And we do have proof of that now.
I just watched the whole thing on Candace Owens talk, like, absolutely destroys someone on why are we sending stuff to Ukraine? Yeah. And I mean, it was eye-opening.
Yes. Our border, they're fighting over a border over there. Right or wrong, people can have their opinion, whether Putin should have done it or not. Why he did it now during the Biden administration, we could debate that too. But all of a sudden he did it. Okay. And meanwhile, our border's wide open. Nobody cares. American citizens, like 100,000 people getting murdered, let alone from the drugs flooding in. But I'm spending billions and billions of dollars over in Ukraine. Now we find out they've been lying to us that we're even winning in it.
Right. Which you didn't have to, you didn't have to do that, right? If you told us they were losing, honestly, you probably would have had a better, if you were trying to make money, you say that they're losing and that they need more money, right? To help Ukraine.
They were leading people on because we were losing a lot of people because we older people, we're sick of wars. We've spent trillions of dollars in Iran and Iraq and all around, and the last president said we're done with these wars, and was supposed to get us out of Afghanistan as well. Slowly they did, and then this current president just ripped the Band-Aid off, and now we had a shit show. And now we're in another war. We're not fighting it yet, although now we're finding out we do have. We
are, yeah.
We do have a president.
So to say that we're not in this Ukrainian war, it's not between Ukraine and Russia anymore. You can't say that. Right. It's between probably China, Russia, and then Ukraine and America.
Right. So. But in all of this, I haven't heard one person in the administration come out and either refute it or agree with it.
Yeah, I think we'll be hearing about it a little more next week, right? Because we have once they start bringing up Mar-a-Lago again, then you're going to have some people talking about it. Just because now we're dealing with candidacies.
Candace, no, you're right. It's just an interesting take on just how pathetic it's becoming in our own government.
Yeah.
And learning something like this, it's not a shock to many of us who could tell that this war was not. And some people from Ukraine saying, you're being lied to. We're not getting the money. I told you about the young girls that were from Ukraine. This was a few months ago. Telling the American people on some foreign TV station, all those coffee cans where you put the money in for the Ukraine people, we're not getting that money.
Yeah, it goes to their military, if anything.
No, it goes to the leaders who pocket it, the oligarchs and the leaders, and kicks back here to the United States to our politicians. The people, they made you to believe, help the poor children so they get to school in a war-torn country. They need shoes, they need blankets. This is what they sell you with these coffee cans. And
it doesn't go. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right.
I wonder how many of those.
I'm a cold-hearted bitch when I say no. I'm not giving. I'm not giving. I'm not doing it.
I wonder how many of those are just like actual scam people that are like, here's a picture of a Ukrainian, give me some money.
Well, that's what this girl was saying. Yeah. And some of them, Chris, they're organizations. It's frightening.
That's what I mean. I don't know which ones are organizations and which ones are just people standing in front of an AP taking advantage.
Some of them, they create these, 503 corporations that don't have to show any financials. They go out there, they put cans out there, they get some money to fund it, and then they take in millions and millions of dollars under the pretense that it's going to these people, and it doesn't get to them.
See, I think the scary, to wrap this part up, I think the scary thing is we all thought that this Ukraine war was kind of slowly coming to an end and fizzling out, but I think now this just kind of escalates it.
Maybe those independent people who are giving money pause and say, I've been lied to.
Yeah. Anyway, did you watch the video I sent you?
I did.
Okay. So everyone's been asking me about this one. So Sunny V2 was trending on Twitter the other day because he did a whole video on the big Mr.Beast situation, which I'm sure everyone's at least heard of, at least our audience. So I'll explain kind of what happened here. I mean, I know you watched the videos, but for our viewers that didn't see it, it's actually a very well done video. The problem of why it's trending is because, and I agree, Sunny V2 kind of stirred it, so that was because it seems like Chris transitioning is the issue when it's not really. So here's what I think it is. So to take it back, Mr.Beast is comprised of like 5 people. You have the main guy, Mr.Beast, Chandler, and then Chris, which is like the main 3. And then you have Carl and then one other kid that I don't even know his name. But those have like been the core crew, basically the entire, however long Mr.Beast's channel's been alive. So this one guy, Chris, his right-hand man, essentially, a couple years ago, gets married, right before COVID, probably like a year or 2 before COVID, gets married. Everything's going well, has a kid. Then it sounds like the start of COVID, gets a divorce, everything starts changing, and then he goes, he has what's essentially an identity crisis. I think that's the psychological way of putting it. I feel like I can say that with a psych degree.
You're like a doctor.
Yeah, But so the problem with this is that, no, I shouldn't say problem. I keep saying problem just out of habit. But essentially, he goes through this identity crisis, and within the last month, I would say, he came out as trans, who's been doing. And
I need to clarify because I don't know it that well. They were a very masculine group of guys.
Yes.
Right? They did pranks and stunts
made
and
fun
whatnot.
of the transgender, that kind of stuff. Right. And not viciously made fun of it, but those kind of offhand jokes that I'm sure everyone makes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with, I'm a big proponent of jokes. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no malintent. Right. It's just jokes. And then he goes and does this whole transition. He does hormone replacement therapy, which means that you're pretty much going all the way. This isn't like a phase. It went from identity crisis to divorce the wife, sees the kids sometimes. I don't know the situation there. I might have made that up, so I take that back.
No, he said he spends a lot of time with his kids, so
good.
Take him at his
great.
Face value.
But he transitions, and now everyone's kind of nervous about the channel, the future of the channel. Now, the way Sunny V2 put it is, as you saw in the video, he put it as, because he transitioned, this is going to be a problem. in my opinion, it's not that. It's more so the dynamic of the channel. So the way that I like to explain this one, do you remember the Try Guys we talked about
Yes.
a couple months ago? They had that big scandal.
Yep.
So I'm going to take you way back, and I think we talked about it on that podcast. But the Try Guys were made up of 4 dudes, and then probably back in I don't remember the date, but I'm going to say 2016, I'm going to say. So the Try Guys, for those of you that don't know, they were a YouTube, still are a YouTube channel, great YouTube channel that they would just do something different every episode. So it was let's go wine tasting, let's go cheese tasting, just normal things that you would do, just standard random, right? And then in 2016, I would say Eugene, geez, Bobo. He doesn't want to be here. Back in 2016, I would say. I could be off on that. But Eugene did this whole coming out video. And everyone kind of knew he was gay. Was
that what it was? Or I thought he had an affair?
That was the second part. That's what we talked about last time. We're going way back. So Eugene came out gay, which is great for him because it was my parents never accepted me for that. Right. He did this huge video, and it was a great video. Right. It was like a whole music video.
Wasn't transgender, it was
just
homosexual.
Just gay, just coming out as gay.
Okay.
And it, again, good for him. The problem was, as someone who's a longtime watcher, the whole dynamic of the channel shifted. It was Eugene's not just gay, but he's super flamboyant now. It's not the guy that he was before. Right. Which, again, I get that you came out, but you can't be upset with people for changing their opinions on how the channel was, because now the whole dynamic changed. And then it went from let's do random stuff to let's do random stuff, when it's hey, let's just do nails, let's do our makeup with 4 guys. So it completely changed the dynamic. Over 6 months, it went back to what it was. Eugene's still cool and stuff, and I don't want to say cool, that's kind of a weird way of putting it, but he's still one of the guys. Okay. I felt as a longtime viewer at that time, I felt the dynamic changed so much I couldn't really watch it anymore. Okay. So it was, again, it's not the fact that he was gay or whatever, it was just the fact that what I was watching for 5 years just changed. Right. Again, and they figured it out over the years, and I mean, they're back to just doing random stuff. So, again, it's great that Eugene came out. There's no problem with that. I want to clarify that just in case this, for some reason, goes viral. But there was a dynamic shift, and I think they knew that eventually, and they kind of brought it back to their roots. And that's kind of what people are worried about with this. There's no problem with Chris coming out as trans. It's just that the whole dynamic of the channel may shift. Yeah. That's what people are afraid of. And we got our first taste of this on, I think they did a live stream a week or 2 ago. Some of the stuff on there was... in that video was from that. Right. And it was awkward. Anyone who saw it was a little oh no, is this really where the channel's going? Now, of course, people on the internet are going to lean towards, it's because he's transitioning. Again, I think it's just the dynamic shift that you are going to see in the Mr.Beast channel is going to be, you're going to divide your audience, right? You're going to have people who are pro or can move on from it, and then there are people if Chris just doesn't change at all, he does the hormone replacement therapy or whatever, but he's still that cool guy that's still making off the cuff jokes about his transition, then everyone's okay with that. There's no right, everyone's gonna get used to it. I think the greatest example is Tim Dillon. Tim Dillon, for those of you that don't know, he's a gay man, but he's not, look at me, this is how great I am for being gay. That's not what we want, right? And he's great about that. I always forget that he's gay. That's how good he is at his job. So he, to me, is the perfect example. So I have a gut feeling that the dynamic shift is going to be addressed at some point, if it goes down the road that we saw in the video in that live stream. So that's my thoughts. I don't know if, I know you don't watch them, but I don't know if you have any thoughts. Just think of any dynamic. It's kind of
in general, I think the older generation that we get mocked, I think we got our head together more than people give us credit. I could care less what you do at home, in your own life, at work, or on TV, or whatever. It's do the other 3 guys talk about how heterosexual they are all the time?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
And most of the homosexuals that I knew in the 80s and the 90s, and my friends, the older people, they don't want to make an issue of it.
Exactly. They don't want the attention.
It's not that. They just want to be normal, which is what, everybody keeps telling me. I want to be normal. Treat me normal. But I'm different. Well, it's not going to work. And now I feel bad for this Mr. Beast in the sense that he's caught between a rock and a hard place.
Wow. It's funny you say that, because isn't that amazing how my mom just figured that out in the sense of...
Well, I'm not stupid.
I know, but I mean, without seeing the channel whatsoever, you just hit the main point that everyone's been talking about. Yeah, right? Because you know that Jimmy, that's his name.
If you let him go, you're going to be the bad guy. Yeah. If you keep him on, you're going to lose subscribers.
Yeah, and
or you got to wait for it to turn
yeah.
around, and that might
The
take
problem
a while.
is, this is where you have to make the business decision, and I say this to Jimmy. Obviously, they're still friends. I mean, there's going to be a dynamic shift of some sort, but you can't see a subscriber drop and then go, oh, well, those people are just transphobic. I'm sure some of them are. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but the mass majority is going to unsubscribe because now the content's changed. Like, if the content stays the same, if the content stays the same, and everyone just does what they've been doing for the last 10 years and barely even address it,
Right.
no one's going to leave. Everything stays the same. But if you start changing the content from, we just, like, what was his last video? Like, oh, we filled a car with 100 balloons, to, hey, we just gave 100 kids HRT therapy. Now we have problems, right? You can't be doing stuff like that.
But in all fairness, there's been many shows over the years where all of a sudden somebody leaves.
Right.
And they bring in a new actor to play that role. Or they create a new kid part, if you will.
That's tough, though,
and the
because
show dies.
You're changing
because
the dynamic.
You change the dynamic. There's nothing against the kid. It's just a lot of actors and performers, which some of these channels are similar to that. There's a chemistry. And if you mix that chemistry up, sometimes it doesn't work anymore. It could be a man and a female. I mean, look at Regis and Kathy Lee. They go through so many people.
I'll even take, remember,
and it changes the dynamic.
Here's a better example. Remember 2.5 Men?
Yes.
Really good until Charlie Sheen left.
Right.
They added Ashton Kutcher, who is a fantastic actor, and it didn't work because the chemistry didn't work.
The dynamic and the writing wasn't as good, so that's part of it too. But that's why I say, he's stuck because it's a gender dysphoric person, or transgender person. Now it's a hot topic right now. So if he keeps his friend on, which is a nice thing to do,
of course,
right? Yeah. He's probably going to lose some subscribers. Maybe he'll pick others up from the transgender area.
But
I don't know.
I don't think it's. They actually have a pretty big. I'm sure they have a big trans. Demographic. I mean, he's got over 100 million subscribers, which is astronomical. But to me, the issue's not on Jimmy. Jimmy really has no control. That's Mr.Beast.
But we're also making an assumption that the trans are going to watch it because the guy trans. They may decide they don't like it either. They're people too.
Right. They might not like the dynamic.
Yeah. They may not like Chris. They may think he's like a jerk transgender or doing it for publicity.
I don't know.
Right. What they get into the minds of that, but it could be a fleeting thing, and I'm not saying that they're going to stay on either.
So I think it's less on Jimmy in the sense of Jimmy can't do anything, as you say, he's back to a corner. The question is Chris going to be, and again, I'm going to make the comparison, is he going to be like a Eugene from Try Guys where it changes the whole dynamic, they lose millions of subscribers and they have to rebuild? Or is it just going to be the same, we're going to go on with our lives and everything stays the same? That's the question. That's on Chris. That's not on...
If Mr.Beast keeps Chris on, it's the friend thing to do. I don't know if it's necessarily a good business decision, but he's damned if he do, damned if he doesn't. So I would say, keep him on. He's my friend. Let's let it ride it out.
That's what he said,
But on the flip side, if Chris sees that he's struggling and he's a friend, he should leave.
Right.
Form your own channel. Get another group of people. Start a new dynamic.
Yeah, that's a toughie. I mean, I'm sure that he has his own channel already. I don't know what it is.
Well, bow out if that's the case. If you see your friends' ratings going down because you made a life choice and you thought it would be receptive and it wasn't, just like he's keeping you on, he doesn't have to, right? They could put somebody else in and slot a new.
It's tough because you might have a different dynamic, right? So that's what it comes down to.
Well, either way, they have a different dynamic now.
Right. It's how long. Is the elephant in the room going to affect the channel? Because there's an elephant. It's a big elephant. Right. Is it going to change the dynamic?
Right.
And that's the question. Right. And if the dynamic shifts, I think some people will be okay with it. Some won't. But if you start changing the channel ideas from, hey, let's have a guy hunt me down to, hey, let's all get our nails done or whatever. Then it's like,
I don't know.
They're a philanthropy channel, so
right. But I'm saying I don't know if that's how they do it. What each guy is into. Let's do something that.
Again, I'm just saying as an example because as I always look at the Try Guys when Eugene came out, which again can't emphasize this enough. It's great that he came out, but it definitely changed the channel dynamic, and some people were very divided about it, and I was on the side of leaving just because it wasn't the same content that I was into.
Right.
I think at the same time they were leaving BuzzFeed at the time, so that could have also played a factor, and the writing and ideas kind of shifted. But
well, I mean, in general, they try things in the entertainment industry. When,
exactly,
like I said, actors with 2.5 Men, it happened in the Brady Bunch. They brought a kid in at the end, and the show was done. People didn't want you to change the original. Nothing against the kid. It was no extra element involved. It's just that happens. Or sometimes they bring a whole different person in to play a part, the exact same part, and it doesn't work. So that's why I say Mr. Beast can leave Chris in there. But, there's also, it's not just 2 guys.
Right, there's
5 guys.
Yeah.
And you kind of need the other guys on board, too. If they're going to do awkward stuff every week or not feel comfortable for whatever reason, maybe if they're homophobic or whatever, that's going to change the dynamic, too. Even though people may still like Chris, now they're not going to like the other guys.
Yeah.
So I think as a group, they have to sit down and decide where are we going with this, because if we could ride it out.
My other question to these guys, and I'm just trying to put myself in their position, the friends, it's like, as you guys know, with the pronouns and stuff, if you've been around a lot of transgender people, even though you're very sensitive to pronouns and stuff, if you try to be, you're kind of like, what are we calling you today? Like, what do we, like, you're kind of second guessing yourself to say, is this the right thing? And I'm sure as friends, Chris wouldn't care, but it's like, if we're seeing that on camera and watching you guys go through the motions, it's going to just decimate a lot of the...
Well, and also, this didn't happen overnight. So I'm sure they've been talking about it as a group. It seems like,
what's weird about the Mr.Beast channel is he'll do like one video every 2 to 3 weeks. So to your point, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes,
right.
But it does seem like this was a pretty quick shift.
Yeah. I mean, they would know this person better. It could be
absolutely.
We go back, you'll get deplatformed, but I know I consider it a mental health issue.
Yeah.
So at some point,
this is a great example of what's
triggered in this individual.
Probably the divorce.
Was it divorce?
COVID.
Was it COVID? Was it a depression? Something manifested this way. And if it's helping him get through it, that's fine. To pause you real fast,
the way we know this is because he used to be 2 years ago. He used to be a gun shooting. Not anti-gay, but makes the off the cuff jokes about it. So to say that he's always felt this way is kind of a lie, right? You can't.
Well, he was either lying then or he's lying now,
right?
So neither scenario is a good one.
And there's too many.
To himself, I should say.
There's too many variables to say that, like variables in a divorce, the kid or whatever, and COVID, whatever depression you want to call it. There's too many variables to say that this has been like this his whole life. So I wish his friends would have sat down and really talked about it, and maybe they did, and this was the best option, which is fine. But again, no one actually cares about the transition. It's your life. You do what you want, unless you're transphobic, which then you're a garbage human, right? I think we can all agree on that. The fear is that the channel dynamic is going to change.
Right.
So in Sunny V2's video, and my only critique to Sunny, he made it sound like that the issue was that he was transitioning, when it's really not about the transitioning. It's about the chemistry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know the theme of the whole thing. If they do that, if they concentrate on one of the person's lives and what they're going through and make jokes better, whatever. If they do that selectively, and in his case,
it's not really like that. That's why it's.
Yeah. So I don't. It seemed like the individual who did that recording was focusing on what happened.
Mom's talking about Sunny V2.
What happened? So, to me, it sounded more gradual. Other than one day we see the painted nails in the ring and missing ring, and then it became more quicker. Yeah, you're seeing it faster and faster. His face changed, his outfit changed, and everything else.
Yeah, makeup and all that stuff. And again, there's no problems with that. It's just. That's one of those things.
I hope they give him the help and support he needs to figure out what he wants to do with his life. That's all I can say on that topic, because I just don't. I think it's just becoming very. For anybody taking a step back in society and looking overall, gender dysphoria has exploded. So there's got to be more to it than just gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
We really need the psychiatric community to step up and put a stop to a lot of the unnecessary things that are being misdiagnosed, put it that way, because they have other problems and they're going down the wrong path, in my opinion. And I'm generalizing.
Yeah. Again, there are some, of course, that transition and know at a young age they want to transition. This doesn't seem like that kind of transition. I think there was a lot of other outlying. But again, that could be wrong. I don't know him in person, so maybe he's felt like this his whole life. But again, no one. Great for you, but from a channel perspective, it's gonna. Right. If I change my gaming channel to a ASMR channel, I wouldn't expect people to not leave.
Right.
I wouldn't go from the X amount of subscribers I have to half and be like, these people are anti-ASMR. Right. You would say no. People want to see games, not ASMR from me.
But there's a possibility that they'll lose some and then it'll pick up again. You never know.
That's probably what is going to happen, realistically.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr.Beast is kind of too big to fail at this point, so bless you. Get it together, Mom.
Allergies, sorry.
But yeah, that's all I had to say. I know a lot of people had a question about that and one of my opinions on it. So again, hopefully Chris is good. I mean, no ill will towards him, but I do think Sonny could have made that video a little bit better. The one that we watched.
Yeah, I don't know Sonny.
Sonny does a lot of the YouTube drama. Like, he covers a lot of the drama. He does a lot of good stuff too. Not just YouTube, but he'll go into like
what everybody's wondering.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why did Sam Brakeman Fried? Like, he'll go through that stuff. He's kind of like that CoffeeZilla guy, but a little more. Like, he'll go through celebrities that just kind of faded away and goes through like what happened to them and why. Yeah. So, I got one more, and then we could do yours. I just want to bring this one to light, everyone. 5 signs that your kid is highly gifted.
Oh.
According to neuroscience experts.
Let me get my pen and paper
yeah. They're not always well behaved. Mom, it's almost like they wrote this article about me.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought this was pretty cool. Asynchronous development. Does your bright child struggle with simple tasks like tying shoelaces? Mom, I still struggle with my shoelaces. A gifted 8-year-old displaying the reading skills of a 7th grader and math ability of a 5th grader, social skills at their grade level, and emotional regulation of a much younger student. Now, I sucked in school. I was bad at math.
That's true.
I was awful at reading. I'm trying to think.
That teacher looking at me going, he can't do puzzles. There's something
Really?
Like, what the fuck?
Which teacher? I don't even want to know which teacher said that.
3 kids up my ass. She's supposed to be insane. He can't do puzzles. There's something. I mean, you can see he just can't do puzzles.
Yeah, and yet now I dominate puzzle games, which is hilarious.
It's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like,
I've done some of the hardest puzzle
games.
games.
Shit about puzzles. Yeah. Can he read? Like,
can that bitch do Portal 2?
Right.
I don't think she could.
Oh my God, she turned out to have some serious issues, but anyhow, of her own mental health issues, I think. But it's just the funny. I'll never forget that. He can't do puzzles.
Emotional depth and sensitivity at a young range. Age, sorry. Neuroscientists suggest that gifted children experience more intense emotional reactions to the world around them. For example, they may have a hard time enjoying shows where a character gets hurt or is sad. That's me. Many also have a heightened sense of justice and can experience frustration and disappointment when they feel like a situation is wrong. Mom, I'm like 5 for 5 right now.
I know.
Even though there's only 2. I don't know what the definition of asynchronous is. It's just like off.
Sounds like
so it's got to be. It must
Chronos?
mean off of the generic timeline.
Oh, Chronos, like time.
Yeah,
okay.
Asynchronous. Let's see. I'm actually curious now.
Yeah.
Asynchronous.
Opposite timeline.
Asynchronous. Not existing or hap. See, I can't read. See, that's all the more reason.
Asynchronous? Is that what you're saying? Oh my God!
Mom, again, I'm a genius. This kid.
Asynchronous?
Asynchronous, yeah. I said asynchronous.
All right, you delete this out, please. I'm begging you.
Mom, hear me out. Hear me out.
Family might see this. Delete.
Yeah, wait. Simple time. Wait. Reading skills of a 7th grader. That's me, Mom.
Okay. Anything A is not. So
right. So it means not in the order, not in the generic order. Existential questioning. Gifted children often have insatiable curiosity about existential aspects of life. That's me. That's me in the nutshell. I'm a genius.
I have to say, you're hitting more of Kenny when you say some of these things that you say.
Shut up.
No,
this is about me. This is about me.
I remember when he was little, he was in the car seat. That's how little he was. There was a car accident by River Road, and I drove by and I go, "Oh, I hope the person wasn't injured or dead." Not thinking
Kenny
I had
goes, nah.
not a kid in the back seat. And little Kenny goes, "But Mom, that's the circle of life."
Does he really? He's like 8.
Doing like this, driving the car, like freaking.
It's like, is this The Exorcist? What the hell?
In the back seat, you know?
Just staring at you through the rearview mirror.
Picking his nose.
That's the circle of life.
Spilling the drink on you.
Yeah.
Dropping the snack on Mike.
Unique interests or a mature sense of humor. I only like dark humor. My entire feed of Instagram is people breaking their legs. They laugh every time. So, hey, I'm 4 for 4 so 5. Underachievement in school.
Oh, come on. Are they kidding me?
Boom!
Did not underachieve.
What was
Jeez.
How did my SATs go? Tell them the score. Gifted children have an extreme need for constant mental stimulation. In school, they can easily be bored and learn things faster than their peers. When school is not challenging or interesting enough, they may lose their motivation. Consider how you feel after an 8-hour shift. So yeah, basically this is just saying I'm a genius. It's whatever. Thought that was pretty good.
I remember your friend growing up. Remember Ian?
Yeah.
No last names.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off when the mother told me he was studying for the gifted program at the public school.
Really?
Now, he was a bright kid, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I go, you know, how do you study for a gifted program? It's like asynchronous to say that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Asynchronous.
Oh, that's great. I mean, this is what we've come to in this country, that kids are prepping for the gifted program in a public school. You're either gifted or you're not. You're either Albert Einstein or you're not, or
I mean, some kids,
Mozart or you're not.
I mean, and then there's also a huge difference between book smart and just being smart. Like, I think I learned that
that's
in college.
what all stupid kids say.
The fuck? No, but
I'm street smart.
yeah.
I'm not book smart.
Yeah. But like, I always
on
think
the
of
D's list. When you kids said that.
Yeah.
Like,
bullshit.
you can have your name on your clothes.
Why is it backwards?
You're gonna be working with your name tags.
God. But yeah. So
That's just mean.
yeah, the good old days. But okay,
Everybody
that's really all I
has
had.
strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
I
Well-
do believe that's true.
Yeah, but there is something to book smarts versus like just general smarts. Like we know people that are very, very smart, straight A students that weren't that actually bright.
Yeah, no, yeah. There is something to be said for common sense intelligence that'll get you through life even more so than, book smart. You have to have common sense to get through life. And a lot of really intelligent people have support staff that get them through the basic stuff, right? That's how it works. But
Well, I think they say musicians are also like for every instrument you play. I don't know how true this is, but for every instrument you play, you gain 10 IQ points. So if you can master an instrument, like if you're at like a 100 IQ, it kind of instantly shoots up to 110 because of the mental connections. So that is a factor in IQ. I don't know.
well, I think that saved my mother being very smart. You all
Yeah.
met her on the podcast because she played an instrument. I think that's
Keeps everything
what
together.
kept her left and right brain together. Otherwise,
Right.
she would have been like a classic ADD kid. Smart, very smart, but unable to focus. And music gives you a tremendous amount of focus when you have to read music, when you have to practice the discipline of it. So I think that helps a lot of people. I also think we had more of that earlier generations. Like when you were in school, you had to play instruments as part of music class. No, you didn't have to learn it high expertise. I think when you were in school, they did the recorder. That's what they required, right?
That stupid recorder, the
Stupid
plastic
recorder.
Never
Other kids-
cleaned.
Like before that, you had to learn to play an instrument that was part of the
Hey, Chris, you
curriculum.
want to share recorders? Yeah. Terrible idea.
It's just because you kept losing yours. You had to use somebody else's. Anyhow, I think there's a lot to be said for.
Why is it clear with green on the inside?
Gross. Oh.
You want to do one of yours?
All right, well, along the line of learning things, I guess, I have two science ones. Forgotten equation could be the key in recycling carbon dioxide.
Recycling carbon.
Cornell University scientists are using a 120-year-old electrochemical equation. They're using it to convert CO2 into a useful product like ethylene, ethane, and ethanol. It's called the Cottrell, Cottrell equation. It was named after chemist Frederick Gardner Cottrell from 1903. Just by applying this old-fashioned equation, recycling CO2, it helps humanity. It reduces the use of fossil fuels. If they can figure out the sequence of events in different ways, different chemical reactions with CO2. The catch is it requires a lot of electricity to do this, which is expensive. The formula allows the researchers to understand all the different chemical reactions that takes place when you apply electrochemistry to CO2. Understanding the reactions allows them to control what and when they make a product from CO2. So with all the Green New Deal stuff, I think it's kind of interesting, first of all, that they're looking to do this, carbon dioxide, but on top of it, they're going old school, going back to a formula from 120 years ago. I think that's kind of interesting. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways.
Yeah. I'm surprised ChatGPT hasn't helped out yet.
Yeah, really.
I'm surprised they haven't thrown that in.
Maybe the Cornell kids haven't figured that out yet, the university scientists. But
What's your other one?
the
Florida.
other one is similar. What's a science one? Florida lightning strikes results in groundbreaking find. So a professor in the University of Southern Florida discovered a phosphorus material in a dirt sample that was hit by lightning. The meteorites with minerals similar to Earth are found in meteorites and in space. So the minerals that were found in this thing, in the substance. It looks like a rock.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like a little meatball.
Yeah, and it's something you can't find anywhere other than meteorites or in outer space until electricity hits it and creates this thing. And just basically that it's a huge amount of we don't really understand just how powerful electric lighting can be. That shot.
I always wonder how a person goes, man, I really want to be a scientist of lightning. You know?
Study lightning?
Yeah. Like, how does this guy go, I want to know what in his mind went, I really want to see where lightning strikes.
The flux capacitor.
Yeah. The flux capacitor.
From Back to the Future.
But
I just thought those whenever I see articles like that, I find that so interesting that you take for granted things just show up.
So it looks like it's important to understand. He says it's important to understand how much energy lightning has, which is true. Like they say something ridiculous, like one lightning bolt, like just that amount of energy can power like an entire state for a second, right? Or something.
Well,
like
what
that.
I found so interesting was I'm reading the two articles and I go, whoa, I wonder if they could use electricity to do the CO2 formula.
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, right, they say lightning in a bottle because they've always tried to take the power. Right. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Lightning in a bottle. They say, I forget why they say that. Like what the term is. A lot of times they use it in sports. But
was it the show? 352 gigawatts gigabytes from Back to the Future.
I never really saw those
lightning.
movies.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh,
I'm
you
not.
Must have.
I've seen parts, but no, I've never sat down and watched them.
The modern day, they use like a nuclear fusion. He uses the uranium to power the DeLorean. But then when he goes back to the 1950s, he has no way of getting home. The doc back then, all he has is lightning. So he uses a lightning rod to power the car. Right. Because back then they didn't have the uranium. So it was like 1.2 gigawatts for the flux capacitor. You gotta watch it. It's a classic. So he uses a lightning rod, and he knew it was going to struck at a certain time, and that force of that lightning supposedly was enough to power to the lightning rod into the car.
It's like insane how much power. How much? You know what? Let's take a guess. What do you think? How many watts are in a lightning strike?
I have no idea.
How many watts are in a lightning strike? Take a guess without looking. I'm gonna say a million. Okay. Oh well. And while lightning strikes vary in strength, Dr. Brown was right. They can produce 1.21 gigawatts of power. So how many?
1.21 gigawatts.
Oh, so he was right in the movie.
No, I forget.
They didn't just make it up.
Gigawatts.
To watts. So how many watts is that? Oh my God. So hold on. How many watts is that? I don't know math very well, but how many? Okay, so how many what is 1.2 gigawatts to watts calculated? Let's see, because I want to know 1.2 gigawatts. So I don't know.
No, he does say it. He does do 1.21 gigawatts.
To 1 gigawatts. Okay, so I don't know what this means, because you tell me, because you know math better than I do. One. What? 3 minutes? Holy. 121 gigawatts. So they would say it's gigawatts, though, not yeah.
Gigawatts.
Yeah. But so what would 1.21 E plus 9 mean in math? That means that there's an error, right?
E to the ninth?
E to the ninth.
E is E stands for something in math. Exponent to the ninth. 1.2.
1.21 E plus 9. So that's what it looks like. 1.21 E plus 9. I need one of our.
E to the ninth. I think that's.
I have to ask one of our viewers I know is like an engineer, or we could ask Matt Nee.
Scientific, yeah.
Okay, it's a lot of power. Let's put it that way. Gigawatts to watts. Does this have?
Yeah, so 3.456 E11 is a scientific E notation equals 3.456 times 10.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So that's how many zeros there are behind it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be one. So one lightning bolt consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 1.21 billion watts. So 1,210 million watts.
I'll take
so
your word
yeah,
for it.
that's
I'm not calculating it.
that's
there are
insane.
on here, though.
Yeah. So this is the
That's
conversion.
got to do something to CO2.
No wonder people die from those. Like,
Yeah.
dear God.
They don't all die. There've been people that have been struck.
I don't know
by
how.
lightning.
I refuse to believe it. Uncle Jerry probably would know, but
Why has he been struck by lightning?
no. I mean, as an electrician, he probably knows the conversion. But yeah, you got another one?
No.
Wow, is that really it?
Well, the Brad Pitt story, but I think I'll save
There's
that
one
for
thing
another
I wanted
day.
to look up. Hold on.
The scam of the Brad Pitt Foundation with the Katrina houses.
All right, guys, we'll end it there. The only things I have to promote. So I put out the 3 videos this week. The end of Demon Souls I put out on Friday. Wednesday was Oblivion on the Games Pass Roulette, and then last week's podcast. I don't know if I'm going to be here early this week. This will come out on Monday. You might have to upload the podcast for me if I'm not here, because I won't have the time. I'll be on a plane. But other than that, I'm going to record another podcast tomorrow with Kenny when he gets home. And then that's pretty much it, guys. So social media down below, promo codes down below, stream links down below, Discord down below to add questions. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys at stream, and Mom will see you guys next 2 weeks. So yeah.
Did you tell your listeners what the special week this is? Your parents are very rare.
Why?
What's coming up this week?
Oh, is it your anniversary or something?
It's not
God.
just an anniversary. You know
what is this?
anniversary
Is this 30?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're very rare. Not a lot of dinosaurs like us.
If you weren't rare, Mom, I wouldn't have you on the podcast. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.